So shout out to Iron Gamer 15, who I recently followed. I'll link his Twitter in the description below. He also makes a YouTube about the Batman Arkham games and all that good stuff. And today he was talking about remasters, and it kind of got me thinking and inspired me to make this video. Talking about why Return to Arkham was a huge sort of waste, and it might not be for the reasons that you think. It was a letdown for a different reason than the obvious, and that the obvious one, we could just sort of talk about it because it's the elephant in the room, is that it didn't really improve the graphics that much, and it wasn't really that good of a remaster. I had videos, several of them, I think get over 1 million views, pointing out graphics comparisons and how the remaster on the next-gen consoles might have even been a downgrade. I think overall it did improve it, but just some of the stylistic and light design choices and all those kind of things made it very, very iffy. And the improvement, if any at all, was very, very marginal. So that's kind of the elephant in the room. That's like the obvious thing that you might have thought, well, that's why, Slick thinks it's a huge waste or a disappointment or whatever. But in reality, I actually think that there's something even broader that they wasted. And that is the option or the ability to add new content. Now, I understand remastering Arkham Origins because that game came out at the end of a console generation. I also understand Asylum and City because they're very popular games and it makes sense. But at the same point, these games have been played by us fans so many times and they've been out for so long on console that I would be hard-pressed to find a real germane reason to actually make the remaster. Now, this signals a bunch of things. For instance, that they're planning to develop the Arkhamverse into the future, which is, I think, the main reason they did it all together. Also, just to make money. I understand that. And it certainly is the cheapest option to make a very lame port, of two excellent games and just sort of plop it on a next-gen console. Don't really fix the graphics that much or do that much with the character designs. But here's the thing. They didn't even do the basic stuff that we would look at. Like adding skins, changing the character designs a little bit, keeping the frame and the intention of the developers, but updating things, updating the graphics, updating the lighting. They didn't really do any of that. They just ported the game to Unreal Engine 4, which, as we could clearly see with the graphics, is definitely not that much better than Unreal Engine 3 for whatever reason. It's definitely more cartoony, and the art is a little bit odd, and it's just not that much of an improvement. But putting all that aside, there were so many things that they could have done, namely add skins to the game that we didn't have in Asylum or City, and also maybe even add side missions. Maybe add a whole new mode. We had this multiplayer mode in Arkham Origins. They could have developed something new for Asylum and City, and they didn't do that. They didn't add any skins, which I think would have been very interesting to see, especially because with Asylum and City, they don't have that many skins in them. Asylum has very few at all, and they could have added a bunch of really, really interesting skins. They could have really gone all out with it. They didn't do that. They also could have added a multiplayer mode, as I mentioned, something similar to Arkham Origins, to just sort of sweeten the deal a little bit, to have more people buy the game. And I don't think the sales for it have been that great. It's on sale for like $5 right now, when of course it started at like a $40 game. So, and the reason is because they don't really add anything to it. So even the skins, I think, would have incentivized it. The biggest thing, though, would actually be adding side missions. And I can see why this would be controversial, because these games are esteemed for being what they are, for being excellent games. And they're very carefully crafted by their developers to act and play in a particular way. And adding side missions inherently changes that vision. But at the same point, we've played the original Asylum and City so many times. That would have been really cool to add in new villains, add in new side missions. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. It just has to be something new. Something to really incite us to really revitalize our passion for these games once again, which already exists, and you don't really need to revitalize it. But there's just a lot of missed opportunities there. That's just the way that I see it. Adding skins, adding a mode, adding side missions, reincorporating villains. We see Killer Croc in Arkham City, if I recall, for like 5 seconds in like a little Easter egg. You could have had a side mission there. You could have added so many different things. You could have added new interactions between Batman and, other Bat Family characters. I don't know. Just anything, really. So, I mean, it has its own challenges because you'd have to get Kevin Conroy back, I understand. But let's say that you advertise this game as like an Asylum and City expansion. So you're adding side missions, adding content, adding skins. That would actually be something you could charge $60 for. It could actually be something that would be very interesting. It's like the deluxe edition of these games. And imagine Asylum. in my opinion, my favorite map of all the Batman Arkham games. It's just really, really atmospheric and immersive, that world, the asylum in Batman Arkham Asylum. And to actually add side missions to that, maybe even add a new section to the map, maybe even have an underground portion to a part of the map that didn't exist before. So to add to the map design, keeping in line with what Rocksteady did, so not doing anything crazy, we're not adding anything cartoony or changing the vision of the game, just adding new parts of the map, adding side missions, adding characters. Professor Pig has got to be in Arkham Asylum. I mean, that guy's insane. So, where is he in the mix? Put him down there or something. I don't know, just there's so many missed opportunities, and a lot of people are going to disagree and say that that's not the role of a remaster, but this is kind of what Iron Gamer was talking about as well in his video, is just the notion that, these are very, very lazy remasters, and they really are. I mean, this remaster, the graphics don't improve that much. No new combat aspects. They could have done a lot to really improve the game, and they didn't. They didn't do anything to add new content to sort of make you go out and buy the game. And for that reason, I think that Return to Arkham was a huge missed opportunity. I think just adding parts to the map would have been totally worth it. This notion of selling this as a deluxe edition, new content, that would be huge, if they would have done. A lot of people now are talking about Asylum. That game, Origins, that game's not going to get remastered. I can pretty much guarantee you that. But, and that's okay. It's also the type of thing where I don't want remasters anymore. I want new games. And if you replace the Return to Arkham remaster in that gap, that several-year gap that we've had without a Batman Arkham game, and replace it with a new one, I've taken that every day of the week. I want new content. I've already played these games. I want the new stuff. I want the good stuff. So that's really where it stands for me. So just a huge missed opportunity with not improving the existing content that much with Return to Arkham, and also not really adding anything of value to it either. This notion of adding a deluxe edition to the game, I think, would have been really, really cool, and just adding new segments to the Asylum at City would have been incredible. I mean, no doubt about it. You don't have to change anything with the gameplay. Just adding content would have been incredible. But, it is what it is. For $5, it's definitely worth it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the remaster is bad or anything by that measure. It's just that I feel like there was a missed opportunity. But for $5, $10, even $20, I mean, worth it. Absolutely. Especially if you haven't played the games in a while. To be able to play them in all of their glory, it's worth it by every measure. So it's not that the game's not worth it, it's just that it's a missed opportunity, really. So anyway, guys, I hope you all have enjoyed the video. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Be sure to leave your thoughts in the comment section below.